All right, guys, we're out here with the Red Dirt Rangers. How you guys doing?
Hey, doing great.
Beautiful day.
Yes, it is. We were talking to Lance Rourke earlier. We were talking
Yeah.
about the weather. It's beautiful. Couldn't ask for a better
Well,
day.
he's a great and talented dude.
Yeah, he is.
Really.
And
He was awesome
yes, it
interview.
is incredible.
And very
How about
nice,
this,
too.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah,
And
it's-
Lance is great, for sure.
Yeah, it's not even like really that windy either. It's
No.
kind of just like,
It's ideal.
yeah, I know. I couldn't ask for a better day to have festival. We know how Oklahoma can be. It can be really
Yeah.
temperamental on the
Oh,
weather
yeah.
sometimes.
For sure.
Yeah.
We take out the weather real seriously over here.
Yeah, for sure.
So, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
you go ahead.
So I don't think I mentioned it in the email, but we're based out of Stillwater also.
Nice.
cool.
So we work with Tumbleweed, and we do shows with all the artists and stuff like that. And so we're kind of Red Dirt is kind of our bread and butter, sort
Yeah.
of.
Well,
So
if
when
you're
we
from-
saw you guys were on the list, we're like, we
Well,
have
you
to
know
get
that
them.
Stillwater is the birthplace of the Red Dirt Rangers.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And the
Yeah.
birthplace of
Yeah.
Red Dirt music.
You
Yeah.
got red dirt on your fingernails or something for some reason, right?
Exactly. So you guys started in Stillwater, like we're saying. How did you guys come about? How did you guys get together? Like, what's the origin?
Kind of started as jam sessions, a bunch of friends hanging out, different places like the farm, around campfires and whatnot. We did a talent show on OSU campus, and that was probably about 82 or 3.
Yes.
And it was called Aunt Molly's Rent-Free Music House. We weren't called the Red Dirt Rangers then, but we did our first little act together.
Yeah.
That was when we just started learning how to, play.
Yeah, the piecing it together, really, a lot of it occurred at the farm back in those days. That was kind of a ground zero for,
Everything, really?
well, you know the list, man.
Yeah.
If you're from Stillwater, it goes on and on and
Yeah.
on, you know.
And it's called Gypsy Cafe now, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And we used to take it from the farm and campfires, take it down to the strip and play at a place like Willie's and stuff like that. That's
Wormy Dog,
kind of
later.
where we got our stage legs, going. So
Stillwater's home, and we feel fortunate to be a part of that scene.
Yeah, for sure. So you said you guys weren't Red Dirt Rangers. Did you originally have a name that you guys?
Well, I mean, in the early days, you just kind of you didn't know what to call it, so you
Yeah.
just make up weird names. Like at certain times, we were
Pile driver.
Pile Driver. We were Ratchet. Toolbox, I think, at one time. Just-
shampooing the buffalo,
Shampooing the buffalo,
you know.
yes. And then farm dogs. Is it
farm dogs. Yeah.
And then we landed on Red Dirt Rangers. A friend of ours, Jimmy LaFave, wrote a song called Red Dirt Roads at Night. And that seemed to resonate, and the term Red Dirt was starting to kind of become into the vernacular a little bit. And we called ourselves Red Dirt Rangers. Although the scene has evolved a lot from what it originally started out as. The Red Dirt scene really started as a singer-songwriter scene.
But as like all
Yes.
good scenes, things have to evolve, or
It
they
evolved.
just get stale. So it's continued to evolve, and to this day, it's still. I'm still surprised myself walking into some place in Stillwater and seeing a hot new artist that just blows my mind. So it's still going on. It's really
yeah.
awesome.
But one thing about the scene is, and since it came from a singer-songwriter scene, the song has always been the most important thing. Like the song drives the music. You can be a great guitar player, and we welcome all those great instrumentalists, but without the song, you got nothing. And we were fortunate to know really good songwriters in the early days.
And from the very beginning, like when most bands get together, they do a lot of like cover songs and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we were immediately on our first gig, we were already doing original songs.
Really?
Yeah.
Because we had been told by some of the old guys like Jimmy LaFave and Bob Childers and Tom Skinner, they would say things like, "Man, you guys are great, but you ought to think about writing your own songs."
Yeah.
And they were very encouraging, kind of showed us the ropes, as it were. And we were the babies at the time, the young kids, and now we're the old guys, giving advice to the young. So it's just a big circle.
Very fortunate.
It's all
Yeah.
it's
Fortunate,
awesome.
Yes.
So who were some of those other groups when you guys were coming up that were like right alongside you?
Well, in the earlier days, again, it was more of a singer-songwriter thing.
And there's also a burgeoning, a very strong bluegrass scene.
Bluegrass was very big. We went to Winfield, Kansas, which is going on right now up in Winfield. It was a big deal then, and still is a big deal now. But when we started, there weren't a lot of bands. It was a more singer-songwriter, but it started to become real band heavy.
But we can name some of them.
Sure.
Though.
Well,
there was the Flat Mountain Boys. There was the Red Valley Barnstormers.
Right.
You know, of course, Garth Brooks was right there with us on the
True enough.
stages at Willie's.
Yes.
And Jimmy LaFave, Bob Childers, Chuck Dunlap. I mean, these were the guys that were like the forefathers to us that we looked up to. That, you know.
Yes.
So.
But the first band that was really like tight with us was a band called Medicine Show. And if you go back into the 90s, when we were there, ourselves and Medicine Show kind of had town for a while, you know.
Yeah.
And then out of that came Great Divide.
Great Divide,
like they were kind of the next in the pipeline. And then here comes Cross Canadian Ragweed, Jason Bull and the Stragglers,
Then Turnpike.
Will Brandon Jenkins,
Stony.
LaRue, and then down to
Brandon.
Turnpike Troubadours, then Reed Southall. I mean, it's kind of evolved over a 30-year period of what Red Dirt is.
And we always took those guys under our wing and like said, hey, you guys want to open the show for us?
Yeah.
And whatever. So like Turnpike was opening the shows for us, and people
always
like Stony and all that. So it was.
Come in and sit in with us.
Oh man,
come a long ways.
Ragweed used to open for us. They would call and say, "Hey man, can we open for you guys?" It's like, sure.
I guess. Sure.
It's good exposure, pretty good.
We might still let them if they.
We might.
We might let them open for us if they wanted to.
But you know,
Maybe.
we met them at the farm, and we met Bolin at the farm, and we met Stony through the farm. I mean, there was a real center point and a place where musicians came. And I mean, Robert Earl Keen came to the farm, and when anybody that played in town in Stillwater would come to the farm because that's where the party was after the show. You know?
And then kind of after that, for some reason, the band we migrated to Oklahoma City, where we all lived for a while, and that's where we had like a band house, and that's where we started our sort of the full band type thing with drummer and bass. So Oklahoma City was always big to us as well.
DZDs, which just closed after 35 years of a venue down there in Oklahoma City.
Wormy Dog.
We just played
there.
the second Wormy Dog, actually the third Wormy Dog. It was upstairs on the Strip. Then they had the Wormy Dog Concert Hall, where Outlaws is now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then it went to Oklahoma City down in Bricktown.
In front of the ballpark.
Yeah, right over by the ballpark, for sure.
So in other words, we've been around. We're older than dirt.
We've seen it all, man.
Older than Red Dirt itself. But we got together before it was even called Red Dirt. So
Yeah, exactly.
We still laugh about it because people say, "Oh, define Red Dirt." We're like, "How the hell do we don't know?"
Yeah.
Exactly.
We can't tell you. I mean, we just called it Red Dirt Rangers. And back in the early days, people would say, "What kind of music do you play?" And we got tired of saying, "Well, we play blues, bluegrass, country, folk, Cajun, Tex-Mex, swing."
It was just quicker to say Red Dirt.
So we just said Red Dirt music, and we didn't really think about it. But like Cody and Bolin and Stony and those guys really picked up on it, and Divide. And they said, well, we play Red Dirt music.
Yeah.
And that's what it just became in the vernacular. Nobody tried to make a scene. It just happened,
Yeah.
And
But years even before that, there were like inklings of what was to become.
Oh, yeah.
Like people like Steve Ripley, who was in a band called the Tractors, sold millions of records.
well, and his
Tractors,
Stillwater
yeah.
band was called Moses.
But they were playing years ago before we started, and in fact Steve even started a little label called Red Dirt Records.
Yes.
So that term has been around a long time.
It has.
We fell into it
You guys took it.
Resurrect, I say.
You guys took it, had the name, and then it kind of blew up from there.
It kind of did. I think it really blew up when we called it Red Dirt Music.
Yeah.
Because
it was easy to identify
we
with.
were all having trouble trying to tell people what we played. It was like, what do you play? It's like, well, it's all these different musics, so we'll just call it Red Dirt Music, and it stuck. I mean, it's just kind of what happened.
And see, like at the time, and it's still like this, but there, like Texas has always had a big name like Texas music, and we got kind of tired of that, so we said we want Oklahoma to have something.
Exactly.
So that was kind of the angle we took.
And
in the meantime, we've come together with those guys.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all friends, and it's like we're one big scene.
We
now.
love the Texas guys. We met Reckless Kelly when they first came to Austin early on, and through Mickey and the Motor Cars, all those guys. Robert Earl Keen. Robert's a good friend. We've known him
Robert
for
always
years
a
and
good
years.
friend.
But it was funny how it just look, we didn't try to like take over Texas, but at one point Red Dirt music took over Texas.
exactly.
It just did.
And then they start calling it Texas Red Dirt. So you know how that goes.
Of course, we call it Red Dirt Texas.
Exactly. And it really feels like people, I guess especially outside of like Oklahoma, Texas, will call basically any music that really isn't on radio country Red Dirt music.
Yeah, right.
And even if it's Tyler Childers in Kentucky, West Virginia, even a lot of those acts, a lot of people call that Red Dirt music.
Yes.
It sounds cooler than Americana.
It does sound cooler. But would you guys say that those acts that aren't in Oklahoma and Texas are Red Dirt music?
Absolutely. To me,
I would say that it's all inclusive. If you want to call yourself Red Dirt, that's awesome.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the first notable act that I can remember from really being from outside our area was American Aquarium, BJ.
Yeah.
BJ Barham. He was he was calling himself Red Dirt, and he's from like North Carolina.
Yeah.
So, these guys want to do that, and the gals want to call themselves Red Dirt. Hell yeah, bring it on, man! I mean, we're
and there is actual Red Dirt all over the world.
Even
like Hawaii, Georgia has it. I mean, there's really cool places that have Red Dirt, and there's kind of a kinship. It really is in the dirt,
This friend of ours went to Hawaii and brought back Red Dirt shirt.
Red Dirt shirt, sure.
Well, organically dye from soil.
Yeah,
it's red. Yeah, I mean.
But it's really cool that the term has taken off. And man, there is no doubt about it, without a doubt, 100% it started in Stillwater, Oklahoma. I mean, it did start there, and it started at the farm. I mean, it's ground zero. You can go to a specific town and a place where this music began. Have you guys been to the farm?
We have not had a chance to get out there, but we really want to get.
It's out there. There's nothing, of course, but just tall grass and a little burnt, torn up barn and this. But there's a little spot there with that Gypsy Cafe.
Sure.
It's refurbished, and it's now you could practically live in it.
Bob
but
Childers
no heat.
used to play music.
We've got electricity,
and he lived there. Yeah. But you guys need to get somebody to take you out there that knows the history and kind of show you around.
That'd be a great podcast right there. We've talked about doing that at some point.
Right on.
If we can find somebody
you should, man. Well, I lived out there for 9 years, so if you want to get a hold of me, I'd be glad to take you out there.
Yeah, we will. We'll
figure it out.
Yeah, that sounds like an awesome.
I want to backtrack just a second because you said something that caught my attention. You were talking about the tractors. There's a song, it's like Baby Likes to Rock It or something like that. I've always loved that song. Are they from Stillwater? Or is
Well, I mean,
really?
Steve
is from Glencoe.
Okay.
Which is a little town that's right by, and he went to college there. That's where he started his bands and all that.
And Ron Getman, who was in the Tractors, also went to OSU.
Okay.
Then the other guys were not from Stillwater, but
Tulsa.
Yeah, Tulsa guys. Okay. And they were kind of a Tulsa band, but Ripley always kept his Payne County roots. So, I mean, and if you look into his history, he played guitar for Bob Dylan for a couple of tours, and he was on a record of Dylan's Shot of Love. He also designed and built guitars for Eddie Van Halen. I mean, the Tractors was another thing that he had. He did 3 albums on us.
Yeah, he produced 3 or 3.5 records of ours.
2.5.
2.5.
Plus
there was other ones like we did side projects too. We had a project called Ripley and the Rangers.
Yeah, we were in a band with Ripley.
So we did. It was a short-lived band, but we had. I mean, he was like He was like our best friend. Our uncle, dad,
Steve,
kind
man.
of. He was like our dude. He was our mentor.
And he recorded Leon Russell and J.J. Cale and a lot of the old Tulsa guys as well. Steve was around a long time, and oh man, we sorely miss him.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I want to tell you a little bit about Deadwake Archery Innovations. They got all kinds of awesome stuff. They create their very own custom designed CNC milled bows, and they do all kinds of crazy colors with the anodization. And you want to tell them a little bit more?
Yeah, so it is a Oklahoma State graduate. They're in Kansas, Oklahoma is where they're established. They do some great stuff, great killing machines for the water, honestly. And just go check them out. Thank you so much for Deadwake Archery Innovation for sponsoring this podcast.
Well, howdy, folks. Welcome down to Bad Brad's Barbecue. Hey, stop looking at Gus. Stop it. All right, folks, you see here, Jacker's trying to throw some cornhole, and he just can't get her done.
I just cannot hit anything today.
I see that, Jagger.
Man, you gotta have some Bad Brads. Play that crap when you're hungry.
Vernon always coming in clutch with the barbecue. Oh, yeah, look at that bite, folks. All right, Jagger, let's see it. Look at that. Right nose.
Bad Brad's, where you can't help but be good.
Like Jagger said, folks, Bad Brad's Barbecue, where it's good to be bad.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah,
It's interesting getting to talk to guys like you who were there when this was all kind of brewing up, because everybody we talk to now is like really recent, you know.
Sure.
So it's you don't get all this same information.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're the old guys, so we know the old stories.
Yeah.
And
hey,
I mean, our brain cells, aren't what they used to be, so we might even be wrong on some of them.
we might, but I can tell you this for sure. We used to go see Garth on Wednesday nights at Willie's. He was there every Wednesday back in the early
Practically packed
80s.
that place, don't it?
Well, some nights he'd do good, and
Tom
some nights.
Skinner was in his band.
Wow.
Yeah, we had
Skinner brothers.
Lots of connections to
Chris
Garth.
Gain and the Rangers, dude.
Hey, exactly. Hey, man, I'm down to play with Chris Gaines. Bring it on.
That's great. So, like you guys are saying, like you guys are able to be a mentor to the up and coming acts that are now, like a lot of the people that we've had on the show for sure. I'm sure, like we've had like Johnny Thomas Band, which is small.
Oh, yeah.
but I know they played Mile Zero Fest with you guys.
Sure,
before, and,
we know those guys.
Yeah, and then who else like from Stillwater?
And now I'm drawing a blank.
Like Levi Walker, if you've
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
played
Sure.
with Levi.
Isaac McClung. Do you know Isaac?
We-
He's a singer-songwriter.
We've never had him on the podcast, but I've definitely heard his music.
Yeah, he's really good.
Jack
and-
Tidwell, I think he plays
Well,
that song.
Jack's from Western Oklahoma, but
he plays.
he
there,
does play
so.
Stillwater. I mean, they still come through, and is it Gannon Freeman?
Yeah, Gannon Freeman. Yeah.
I've heard his band. They're really good. I don't know if I don't think they're a Stillwater band per se, but
I think he lives in Stillwater.
He does.
Oh,
now.
right
He
on.
moved there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Buffalo and the Herd.
Yeah, but
Buffalo
yeah.
Jones.
Yeah.
Buffalo Jones and the
Buffalo
Herd,
Jones. I know
yes.
he plays Stillwater quite often.
Oh yeah, they're
Right.
from Stillwater. Well,
Yeah.
they work at Daddy-O's. A couple of those guys
Yeah, those
work
two
at
guys.
Daddy-O's.
Yeah.
Well, on our set earlier today, we had a fine, great fiddle player.
Tony Spots.
Tony Spot.
He played with us, and he lives in Stillwater. I mean, so the story continues. It's
Yes.
like it's an evolving, living story.
Yeah.
It's not like dead and in the past. It's still
It's
happening.
not, and
so.
Bob Childers used to say it, and I really truly believe it's true. Stillwater's a musical vortex. There's, for some reason, music finds a home in Stillwater. It's always been that way, going back to Hoyt Axton. Bob Wills used to play there, but Hoyt Axton played there. Gary Busey had the biggest band in Stillwater back in the late 60s.
The
called
Rubber Band.
The Rubber Band.
Like, okay, Gary Busey, like
Yeah,
the actor
crazy
Gary-
ass
Yeah.
Gary
The
Busey.
Oh my gosh! I was
Yeah,
like,
he went
I was
to
like-
he
I
went
was
to
like, there's no
college.
way.
He went to
Yeah.
college at OSU.
Why did I not know that?
Yeah,
That's
he had a
awesome.
band called the Rubber Band, and then they turned into a band called Carp. And Carp had a major label deal on Warner Brothers, I believe. But yeah, Busey had the best band in Stillwater at one point.
That's
He's
crazy.
he's on a thing called Mazappa.
Oh, that's out of Tulsa.
Yeah,
It was
out of
a
Tulsa.
TV show. He was also a comedic TV show.
Yeah.
What is there's like I'm drawing a blank on like movies that he's been in because he's been
Oh
in so
man,
many
well the
movies.
Buddy Holly story for sure.
Yeah.
That was his claim to fame.
Yeah, oh,
but
there's-
he's been in a ton of movies. He usually plays imagine he plays a psychotic nutcase. No way.
usually
right?
he does.
that way.
And wasn't he on the Celebrity Apprentice?
Oh
too?
yeah,
yeah.
he got fired by Donald Trump,
Yes.
man.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot,
Yeah,
fellas.
there's a lot.
His Stillwater's music history is really, really rich.
And it's amazing. It constantly happens where people that like big stars or whoever, will
Yeah.
be like, will tell us they spent time in Stillwater and stuff. So it's a magic place.
Yeah, I'll give you a really weird one. David Koresh, the guy from Waco.
What?
He had a band in Stillwater.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he sure did, man. Absolutely.
That is very weird.
I know, man. Well, if you dig deep enough, you'll find all kinds of stuff.
I mean, his band was good. They could really burn it down. Oh, that's bad. Too soon.
Oh, that's great.
No, it's been about 15 years. It's okay.
It's been like
A long time.
But,
But you know,
25 years
but,
now.
but it's kind of what's kind of cool, and there's a lot of towns that are like Stillwater, where scenes arise out of a certain small town, like Athens, Georgia. A place in Colorado, Boulder, whatever. But
Austin.
Austin. I
Time.
mean, but we had a magic scene that kind of surpassed a lot of those other scenes just because it's. I feel like it's really genuine music. It's heartfelt.
It is. And then if you look at the All American Rejects, those guys sold millions of records. A band called Other Lives, they sold a ton of records, and
One
they
Hit
opened
Wonder.
for Radiohead at one point. I mean, they're all from Stillwater.
Yeah.
It's just Stillwater is a music town for. I don't even think it tries to be.
Well,
just
but it
is.
ebbs and flows.
It does.
There'll be times when there'll hardly be any bands in Stillwater. The next thing you know, like the next year, there's like 20 bands.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's
it's
how it
crazy.
was.
Someone
But
was- go
that's
ahead.
how it
No,
was
sorry.
when we were there. I mean, there was a lot of.
Yeah.
don't
Well, it was
remember-
rich when we were there.
Yeah.
I mean, we were there
Being
in a real
college
golden
town
time.
and stuff.
I don't
Yeah.
remember who it was. Somebody we had on was telling us it like shifts. So like for a while it's in Stillwater, and then for a while it's like maybe in Tulsa or like Oklahoma City or something. And
I
do you
mean,
remember
right
who was
now
saying that, or-
Tulsa's hitting a
Oh
pretty good
man,
lick. Yeah, I
Tulsa's
mean,
like going off.
but you can't really
exploding.
compare it to Stillwater because it's two
No.
different things.
Yeah.
I was living about 18 years ago. There was nothing going on in Tulsa.
Yeah.
So,
Stillwater, man, it's a college town, so you're always going to get
but now
new
it's-
kids
That's
coming
what I
to
was gonna say. I
town.
was gonna say, do you think it's a culmination of it being the perfect size for something like this? Because like, I mean, Stillwater doesn't have like a lot to do, so
No.
like, it makes like when you have acts, like you want to go see them, even if they aren't your like favorite
Well,
band or you don't
and you know,
them.
one thing we observed is that it wasn't uncommon for like a kid from Owasso or something to bring his acoustic guitar, and he'd meet a guy or his roommate or something that would get thrown together with a guy that loved Metallica.
Yeah.
So there'd be like Merle Haggard meets Metallica,
Meets
and then meets-
bluegrass.
So you know, I mean, it
Whatever,
would just,
you know?
that's how the scene evolved. I mean,
Yeah.
people meeting people from different
And
places.
you constantly have an influx of new,
Yes.
Yeah.
new young kids that
Yes.
have the time to do it most of
with
the
a
time.
guitar on their back,
with the
and
guitar
yeah.
and like the because young people like when they're starting music usually have like it seems like they have the want to start like
Sure.
easier to start a band when you're young obviously.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and remember, college is the last bastion of I can still do whatever the hell I
Exactly.
want.
Yeah,
It's
that's,
your,
that's
kind of your
kinda-
last chance.
Exactly.
And it is one of the biggest thrills of all, like to just randomly walk by a place and you hear them doing one of your songs.
Oh yeah.
It's a great feeling, you know,
Yeah.
and we're so proud that happens to us, and so it's good.
And like you were talking, Stillwater is a bit isolated, and it was even more back in our day, in the 70s, 80s, 90s. You couldn't just get in your car and drive to Tulsa real fast, or Oklahoma City. You kind of had to make your own fun. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
really,
exactly.
the Red Dirt scene kind of came out of a lack of anything to do in
Yeah,
Stillwater.
exactly.
Seriously, it did.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at. It's like there's not a lot of stuff to do in Stillwater, but to watch music and watch football games
Well,
in the fall.
yeah,
And
Sure.
in our
So-
case,
College
get
town.
I
together.
want to give a huge shout out to our new sponsor, Red Earth Designs. They made all of these new T-shirts you're seeing. You can find those on social media if you go to our page, Guitars Cowboys Pod. You can click on that, message us, get a shirt, all that good stuff.
They also made these awesome cups for us, guys. They do everything from screen printing, vinyl, laser etching. They will probably even give you a tattoo if you can give them enough time. But go check out Phil there in Perry. Great shop. We'll be looking to go there in the future. Give you guys kind of a lowdown on their background.
Thank you so much to Red Earth Designs for sponsoring. We were watching speaking of Chad Solons, we were watching the Damn Quails last night, and the guy in front of us had a Chad Solon shirt on, and Brian said something about Chad Solon. I think he was playing one of his guitars that he had.
Oh,
or
wow.
something.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And the guy in front of us took his shirt off and was trying to give it to Brian or something.
Wow.
It might not
surprised
fit
Brian
him,
didn't
but
take it.
no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, buddy.
We love those guys. We
love
love the
those
Quails. We've known Brian for a long, long time, and
Gabe.
Caleb,
Yeah.
all those
Gabriel.
guys, man. Just great guys, great
Ca-
man.
Yeah.
Caleb getting married.
Yes, he is.
Wow. Well, Brian's one of our favorites. We
Yeah, yeah,
got
he's
to
great.
talk to him. We talked to him like
July?
mid-July
Yeah.
when we talked to him.
Oh, he's
And
fun,
sat down.
isn't he?
He's a character. He's one of
Absolutely,
our favorite guys.
man. He's a great guy.
He is.
Yeah.
Keep you laughing.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he will
He's
do that.
he's kind of a later day Tom Skinner in a lot of ways. He
In
reminds me
fact,
of
that was
Tom.
his hero.
Tom was his hero.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got a tattoo.
He does.
Of,
He does.
of him on his arm.
A lot of those guys.
Yeah, the
do.
sunglasses, the iconic picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the middle of we got to talk to Brian a little bit yesterday, and in the middle of our conversation, he left to go outside the gate because there's somebody from Wisconsin that's a fan that comes to every show and gives him Wisconsin cheese.
Oh,
So he went and got Wisconsin cheese.
Cheesehead.
We
Yeah,
need some
cheese
fans
head.
like
We need a
that.
cheese. We need a cheese fan.
Well, that could be something else besides
Well, you know,
cheese.
all fans bring different things. Anything else?
Well,
Got
we're
more?
gonna let you guys go.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
we really appreciate you guys
Yeah,
sitting down
man,
with us.
that's been a
man.
pleasure.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Thanks
man.
for helping push the scene. And,
Yeah.
it means- because without people like you guys, we couldn't do what we do. So thank you.
Good
very much.
job, man.
Thank
we
you.
love
Appreciate
we
it.
love promoting artists, small to big, and I think that's one thing that really inspired it. We didn't know what we wanted to do when we started the podcast, and it's kind of turned into this, and we love it. We love
Cool.
talking
It's
a good
and sitting
thing.
down.
Yes.
Well, you
Yes.
let it
Guys like
develop
you.
itself instead of trying
Yeah.
to force it. You just kind of let it happen.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
a good. It's the best way. Let
Exactly.
stuff happen.
Exactly.
You go with the flow and stick with the flexible plan, as Bob told us.
You
Always
got it.
Yes.
I think we embody that. in most
Yeah.
cases.
Good, good.
Yeah.
His saying was strictly adhere to the flexible plan. And you'll be all right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, thanks, guys.
Well,
Yep,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much.